At sa aking mga kasamahang public servant. Bagamat late na, belated Happy Valentine po sa inyong lahat. Nagpapasalamat po ako sa oportunidad na ibinigay nyo po sa umagang ito na maging part ng inyong araw. Actually po, ako po ay lalapit sa inyo upang hingin ang inyong mahalagang tulong sapagkat ako po ay tumatakbo bilang Vice President po for Luzon ng Philippine Councilors League under Almay team po. Hindi ko lang po nadala yung napalipat lang po yung mga materials ko, pero po siguro naman very familiar po sa inyo ang aking Chief of Staff, si Emer Punyo po. Kaya po pumunta na rin ako dito, baka nga daw po siya na yung inyong maiboto at makalimutan nyo po ang tunay na kandidato. So, sana po sa darating na May 6, March 6, magkita-kita po tayo sa SMX at ako po'y umaasa at dumadalangin na ako po'y inyong sasamahan. At kung sakasakali po na kayo po ay bumiyahe sa domestic o international at marinig nyo po ang pangalan, this is Captain Jeff Palse speaking, pakisabi na lang po sa stewardess, kakilala ko po ang piloto. Umasa po kayo at 37,000 feet, lalabasin ko po kayo. At ang serbisyo po ni Consiel Palse, hindi lang sa lupa, hanggang sa langit po. Kaya po umasa po kayo, mga minamahal ko pong mga lingkod bayan. Hindi lang po yung pong PCL, sabi nga nila sa Laguna, may Pilot Councilor of Laguna. Kung ako po ipapalarin bilang Vice President for Luzon, meron na po kayong Pilot Councilor of Luzon. Maraming salamat po. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Prayer and doxology followed by the Philippine National Anthem. The prayer will be led by the CGPP. Who has to? Kindly place ourselves in the presence of the Lord.
Christ, sanctify me by
please remain standing for the Philippine National Anthem.
Bayang magiliw, telas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
You may take your seats. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good morning again, everyone. Welcome you to today's very timely activity. This conference is entitled The Art and Process of Public Government Affairs Toward a Governmental Leadership that Creates a Vision, elucidates the vision, and resolutely accomplishes the vision, with Professor Jose David Lapuz, former UNESCO Commissioner. To get the ball rolling, let me call on Professor Raymond John Rosuelo to give us an overview of this seminar series. Professor Rosuelo.
Morning, everybody. I'd like first to acknowledge the members of the PCL class who are here today. Nasan ba yung mga yan? These are our students from all over the Luzon service area. Also, the members of the executive program class. They're at the back. Welcome again to the University of Makati. Now, over the course of the last 3 years, the University of Makati, through the College of Governance and Public Policy and the Pimentel Center for Local Governance, have prided itself in delivering world-class governance education. This is to the many individuals who have chosen to avail of such distinct service from what has been dubbed by the local media as the School of Tomorrow. This institution of higher learning has always been a trailblazer in the field of governance education. We have made it a point to inculcate into the minds of the growing number of local officials that we have trained the importance of adopting a knowledge-seeking mentality that we believe is critical in ensuring the continued dynamism of key actors in the governance process. A number of distinguished personalities have graced this academic lecture. All of them have provided keen insights, encyclopedic knowledge, as well as, of course, important lessons that were delivered with a healthy dose of wit and undeniable passion. Among those noted luminaries are the likes of Vice President Jejo Marci Binay, Senator Aquilino Pimentel Jr., and former Chief Justice Renato Puno, to name a few. Such names that have been featured in this exclusive seminar series have undeniably given our students an unparalleled experience that they will not get anywhere else. Our investment in this activity is truly an important sign of the very strong commitment of the University of Makati in spreading human knowledge. Today, we are once again extremely privileged to have in our university lecture series a great professor of politics whose towering accomplishments had gone beyond the realm of the academe. Professor Jose David Lapuz is a renowned teacher who has been recognized by various institutions the world over. Perhaps his most important trait is his unparalleled generosity in sharing his teachings to everyone, be they ordinary lay folk or those who belong even to the upper economic strata. I have no doubt that today's engagement with our distinguished speaker will leave everyone present here in this room with a feeling of being very much enriched and be incited to act on such lofty ideas so that these can be translated into concrete policies and programs that we, of course, earnestly hope will benefit our people. Thank you very much, and once again, I renew my call for you, dear audience, not to miss this golden opportunity to engage our speaker on this very rare occasion. May we all have a fruitful session today.
Thank you, Professor Rosuelo. To provide us an introduction of our venerable guest speaker, may I call on Dean Ederson Tapia to provide us with a summarized version of his background.
You heard it from the MC himself. This is going to be a summarized version of the accomplishments of our guest speaker. Because if I do a lengthy introduction, I think I'll take more than 3 hours just to read from his curriculum vitae. Let me begin by saying that today we are in the presence of greatness. It is one of those rare occasions when one of the gods from Mount Olympus descends upon us mortals to impart to us what he has learned over a long career in the field of politics, public administration, and governance. And it is my duty today to try to introduce him to you, although we know for a fact that he is a person who needs no further introduction. Professor Lapuz, we've been privileged to have been his students in the past, and I'll try to read from what we have prepared for everybody. Jose David Lapuz finished his bachelor's degree cum laude at the University of the Philippines and his postgraduate studies in international politics and foreign policy at the University of Glasgow, Scotland, UK. So I'm proud to say that just like me, he has proper British credentials. He started teaching at the University of Santo Tomas in 1970 and has been honored twice with the UST Dangal Award for Excellence in Teaching. Professor Lapuz attended and read papers before the annual conference of the Political Studies Association of the United Kingdom, the American Political Science Association in Washington, D.C., and the International Studies Association of New York. So, really, he is the very definition of an international speaker. He has lectured in the following schools, and this is just a partial list: Eastern Washington University, Harvard University, East Carolina University, the University of California in Los Angeles, and the University of London, the London School of Economics, Glasgow University, and Oxford University. Professor Lapuz has also lectured at the Leningrad State University, which is now known as the St. Petersburg, Russian Federation, and the then USSR Institute of Oriental Studies in Moscow. He also delivered formal lectures at the Humboldt-Universität zu Berlin, now known as the University of Berlin in Berlin, Germany. So you would think, what is he doing in his spare time? I guess before he sleeps, he still lectures. In 1999, Professor Lapuz was first appointed as UNESCO Commissioner to the Committee on Social and Human Sciences, and in 2002, he was reappointed for a further 3-year term. I guess I could read a longer version of his curriculum vitae, but during our days when we were his students, there was one label that we loved to attach to him. And this, I think, encapsulates the way he has been giving service not only to students in the universities, but also, and more especially, to the Filipino people. So I'll introduce him that way. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Professor Jose David Lapuz, ang Profesor ng Bayan.
You know, when I was invited by my friends here in this great public university of learning, a pamantasan ng lungsod ng Makati, I was very exultant, happy, because I recognized them as my former students in the University of Santo Tomas. But that was some years back. And I suddenly realized how time flies. Tempus fugit, as they say. And then, meron akong isang utang sa kanila because they invited me in 2003, and I said yes to the invitation to address this university. But I had to rush to Paris because of the UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Meeting at Place de Fontenoy, and I forgot all about it. You know, they had to go to my house somewhere in Barangay Kaunlaran to look for me, to invite me, and I felt very sorry because I knew I accepted that invitation, but I missed it because of a sudden trip to France because of the meeting of UNESCO. So everything was forgotten, 2003, until 2014 here. 11 years later, a student of mine visited the University of Makati and handed me a letter card, a card from Professor Tapia with the number, "Please call me." And I called him, "Professor, we invited you in 2003. Yes, I am here to correct that inadequacy. And are you organizing something?" And certainly they organized this. And this, of course, falls under public ad, which, among other subjects, is my specialization, although I concentrate more on international law, international relations, comparative foreign policy. But my professor in public ad in the University of Glasgow was the eminent, the illustrious W.J.M. Mackenzie. I advise you to go to Google and search for that name, Mackenzie, a very honored name in international academics, who was my advisor in public ad and moral philosophy. Now, the subject given to me is quite vast. It touches on, by the way, I noticed that it's the LA City Council, the city and the county of Los Angeles, that honored me some time ago, attended by the mayor and the councilor. I remember that because in the CNN, it is this city council and the city council, county and city council of LA that demands the prosecution of Justin Bieber. Yeah. So you see, Justin Bieber is a celebrity, but is being hunted by the city and council of LA for some violation of the laws of California, whereas that same city and council of Los Angeles has honored me in a formal ceremony, although I cannot sing the songs of Justin Bieber. I'm very proud of that because there are many Filipinos in the city and council of LA. But how many of them have been honored by the city and council of LA, with the mayor of LA himself there? Now, I am supposed to talk generally on public ad, which is public administration, a fascinating field, which is really the study of government. But please read my topic because I want to touch on my topics, and then I will go to the process of governing. But I want to end up with the search for a vision, a kind of like philosophy, like you look at a faraway view, at a paningin, pananaw for government. One thing about our government, it does not have a vision. It only speaks of ang tuwid na daan. You see, ang tuwid na daan is okay. That's okay. Anti-corruption, honesty. Of course, that is laudable, and that is part of the demands of the United Nations. But you see, if you don't have the horizon somewhere, you cannot follow a straight road. Try it. You can trek a straight road only because there is a far horizon. And you relate it to the horizon, and the road is straight. That is what we lack, the horizon, the vision. Now, this field of public ad, of course, covers regulatory, supervisory, and the bureaucratic functions that you do. Mostly bureaucracy, or mostly you are regulating, or you are supervising. And that would be a classical definition of this field. If we go to a classical definition as applied by Professor Walker, the classical trinity of governmental powers, legislative, executive, judicial. This is what we mean by governmental process. And they are challenged by an administrative power. It is more satisfactory to add administration, legislative, executive, judicial, and administrative, they say, with a resulting recognition of the four classes of governmental power itself. That is broadly what it is. Or, to go to my professor, Professor W.J.M. Mackenzie, politics has to do with the policies or expression of the state. I suppose the policies that you implement, that you regulate, that you supervise, cannot be divorced from the office of your mayor or your governor or the Congress or even the President of the Philippines. That is customary the thing to do. Although we will have a sharp distinction between what is purely the governmental affair, usually what you do in your city council, and what is a non-governmental administration. Actually, the distinction is sharp. And then the distinction we have to make between public claims, public administration, and private administration is also important to distinguish. And sometimes we don't distinguish this. That is why we run afoul with the law. We think what we are doing is part of our duty. You see, your authority, although you are given your authority, I think in your practice of your field, you must have discerned that there are times when you exceed that authority. There are times when you are falling short of that authority. And there are many times when you violate that authority. So it is either in pursuit of your authority that you do what you do. Anything in excess of that, however committed you are, is a violation of the law. Not to say that anything less of it is equally a violation of the law. But sometimes in our eagerness, but we are doing this and we love the people. And anyway, I have this authority. This I will do for the good of the people. We are guided by pure emotion, good emotion. But strictly speaking, as my professor would say, he's dead now, of course, but if he can speak from the grave, he will say, Professor Lapuz, I lectured in the University of Glasgow. Anything in excess of it and anything short of it is still a contravention of that authority. Now, when we approach your field of administration, we are touched by structural, functional analysis and the culture that surrounds it, which will help us to understand why public administration has some line between what is the general aspect and what is the generic aspect of what you are doing, but also the line between the public and private is drawn. How important it is to draw that line between the public and the private. And I think you, more than me, you are aware of this distinction. For example, the wife of a governor, she buys something from the market. And then, what's wrong? I will use now the van, because anyway, the market is just over there. Again, the distinction has disappeared. The public and the private. Sa Filipino, that's okay, no? Pakikisama, that is okay. Wife naman yan. At saka anong masama naman yon? Anyway, dadaan naman yung van sa palengke. But in Western countries, of course we are not Western, but in countries that uphold the rule of law, that's what I wanted to say. Never mind Western, never mind Eastern, but those who will apply the rule of law will continue to distinguish going to market by the wife has never been a public function. Although, even if you were the mayor and you were doing marketing, that is still a private function. How many of us will care to make that distinction? We don't. Because we are emotional about this. Anong sama noon? But there was one who did it. I remind you the case of Don Sergio Osmeña, Sr., one of our great presidents. Doña Esperanza Osmeña loves to take the presidential car. She would take the presidential car going to Luneta, for example, going to Bagong Bayan. Until Don Sergio told Iha, you cannot do that because going to Luneta is not a part of the function of the state and you are using a presidential car. But that is Don Sergio, who has always been meticulous, punctilious. It's almost a religion with him. It is not a public function. It is private. Kaya ito yung, I will not mention names. I will not mention names. Yung nakikita ko, nababasa ko sa diary, just this morning, nabasa ko, pinagdadalan ako ng sandwich, pinagdadalan ako ng hot food, etc. Ganon. Sabagay, maganda yun, ano ha? Ano na sama yung magdala ka ng sandwich, no? Magdala ka ng ganon, no? Regalo. Yes, sa atin, we are Filipinos and we see things from our culture. But still, there is the rule of law. The rule of law is that is not a public function and that can even interfere with public functions and that can arouse suspicions. I don't want to comment further because that will go under the court. Bahala na. Anong laban ko sa mga taong ito? These are very powerful people, huh? The most powerful people in the Philippines. Jose David Lapuz is just a simple teacher who earns his living simply by teaching. Wala tayong laban dyan, no? Isa lang tayong abang guro. Kaya I will not comment later. Now, the point is, the duties and responsibilities of the public administrator is usually described by the law. It is the law that describes it in much greater detail. And if it is not in the law, it is not there. Kung wala sa batas, wala talaga yon. We cannot interpret it to mean, oh, anong sama naman yan? Anong sama ito? Hindi nga eh. This is one thing that is lacking. When we say rule of law, it is really the rule of law. What the law says. Oh, masyado ka namang legalistic. Filipino tayo, I know. But the test of a democracy is if it adheres to a rule of law. It does not mean you should be lawyers. I'm not saying that you should be. But we should know what the law is. Because ignorantia legum excusat nomen. Ignorance of the law will not excuse you. Anong sama naman ito? Anyway, it is in the law. Hindi mo masasabing it is in the law. Only the courts will do that. Only the courts will say it, that it is in the law. Sa atin, we wait until the courts, until the law interpreters will interpret it that way. Otherwise, we may violate the law and we go to jail. Masyadong mahigpit ang rule of law, but without rule of law, there is no democracy. It is something else. It becomes a personal rule. It becomes an aristocratic rule. No? Hindi. Strictly speaking, wala lang nagko-complain, ano? Strictly speaking, if I am your secretary, I am your secretary, no? I cannot be asked to buy your coffee. But no secretary will complain. Not my secretary. He will not dare complain. But a secretary can complain. Is that part of my function? Is it in my function? Because the functions are described. This is my function. And it is this that I will do to the best of my ability. Above and beyond this, it is not. It is a violation of the rule of law. Either we live by that law or we perish by it. If we do not like it, we can always amend the law. But for as long as it is there, it is the law. That is why I like it when Senadora Defensor Santiago, alam nyo, si Senadora lamang ang public official dyan na merong bayag. Yeah, I can only say, siya lamang talaga ang alam kong public official na may bayag. I mean, she really speaks her mind, but she prefaces with quotations from the law, with Supreme Court decisions. In the Supreme Court, last night, the other day, she was even distinguishing, this is the latest decision now, because the earlier decision could contradict this. What is valid is this decision. She will quote to you article, clause, provision, and then she says what she says. She knows her law. Kayabangan ba yun? I don't think so. As a lawyer, especially as a senator, she will insist on the law. By the way, ahead lang ako 1 year than Defensor Santiago. She is really brilliant, even in the UP college, in the UP. I was ahead. In a true sense, I was her senior. When she sees me in a restaurant, she will recognize me. But then, of course, I belong in the world of academe, and I have always respected her knowledge of the law. Yung reply na nakakuha lang siya ng 75 sa bar exams, come on! Examination yon. But she passed it. 75 is a passing average. Mula noon, she has become learned in the law. She had written books on the Constitution, books on law, mula noon. So you cannot say, nakapasa lang yan ng 75. Of course, importante, dapat mapasa mo, ha? So what if she got 75? But what she is now, she is really learned in the law. You know that. Every time you watch the proceedings in the Senate, they defer to her in her knowledge of the law. Plus, she was a judge. And she was a professor of law. Binanggit ko lang yan kasi Talagang we go by what the law says. Now, but I am here to discuss what it is that makes public administration effective. I think we start with the leadership of the government. On top of that administration, of course, is the President of the Philippines. On top of it, and everything is administration below. Now, we would like to see among our leaders, since you are leaders yourself, and you are practicing leadership in your city council, in your provincial governor's office, you do it every day. I know, I am sure you do it. And there are principles you have observed knowingly or unknowingly. For example, most of the time, I like to believe you are selfless. You want to dedicate it to the public. I have met a number of civil servants. Even, ano lang kumuha ako ng birth certificate pala. By the way, sinabi sa akin, negative ang finding. So, I lectured to them, paano naging negative? You mean, I cannot even prove that I am a born Filipino citizen? Ganun nga, sir. Ganun. Up to now, mamamatay na ako, you know, I cannot even prove that I am a Filipino citizen. Oh, ano sabi? Ano, binigyan ako ng note. Sir, what can we do? We are only in Marikina, in Quezon City. You will have to go to the sources. So, I went to City Hall because that is really the proseso. What can they do? They just ask for 150 pesos and they give you your birth certificate. Hindi rin makita. Sabi, baka gusto niyo puntahan yung ospital. Nasunog na yon during the Second World War. Or your mother. My mother died in 1946. My father in hanapin nyo, baka nasa loob. Sir, wala na sir. Nasaan? Sir, nasa archives. No? Archives. Wala rin siya magagawa eh. Even if she wants to help me, what can she do? Talagang you have to look. And I did it because I know these things. Pumipila ako, naghahanap ako. Finally, baka magka-resulta na sa 21, sinunod ko na lahat, no? 100, etc., etc. At last, I will see the certificate that will certify I was born some years ago in a hospital with that pediatrician, with that doctor. But she was selfless. Lunchtime niya na. Ayaw pa mag-lunch. Hanapin, sir, natin. Tulungan ko kayo. Of course, I should tell you, she was also formerly my student in UST, no? Nagtapos siya ng, yeah? Head pa nga siya. Head siya ng office doon. You must know her. Come on. Adelaida ang first name niya, but she finished political science. So I admired her, di ba? Kailangan ka nang kumain. At saka na sir yun. That is a kind of selflessness. I'm sure you do that. Sa Russia, pag time na talagang isasarado na, it's time, we're closed. You go to the post office ng LA or San Francisco, malapit na may ito, and then they close it to your face, ha? We're closed. Sabagay, that is really the Western way. But then, of course, they give you coffee. Habang naghihintay, meron kang coffee. Dito, hindi pwede mo pakiusap. Sandali lang, kasi alam mo na, etc. It's a kind of selflessness. And Filipinos excel in this. And I like to believe public officials, I mean you, especially you, in your city council, you possess a kind of integrity. I am sure, I have to assume it, I am sure you have it or you will not last because there are laws that will run after you. Hindi nga lamang pino-broadcast ang inyong integrity, Hindi ka mukha ng taxi driver, nakapuno, and then broadcast. I am sure you, in my respect for you, because I dealt with the city, with the San Fernando city office, when I paid for my real estate, etc. But because the argument then is, why make him distinguished Kapampangan? He has never been here, at saka pirmi siyang abroad. And then I told the mayor, but I owned a land dito. What better proof that I'm a Kapampangan? What else? Sabi niya, what else? Well, I have land, and I pay taxes. Late nga lang, arrears, kasi pirmi akong wala. And what is more, I can sing to you, ating ko pong sing-sing, metong yang timpukan. Inawit ko yan. Hindi niya alam yung last lines nga eh. Kalulung puso ko, ganyan, mga gano'n, no? Ah, yes, you are a Kapampangan. By the way, you will read there in the prosopography, which the Listening Post published, my life and the life of my mother, father, in Pampanga. I'm very proud of that honor. Pakitaas ngayon galing lahat sa City San Fernando, yung Pampanga Council. Taas na. Kukunti marami yan eh. Taas pa. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. You know, I enjoyed visiting the city of San Fernando. February, I was honored by Mayor Oka with the award of Outstanding Kapampangan sa Heroes Hall. Somewhere, Heroes Hall. And then, another gifted me with a lantern. Meron akong lantern, no? And then, pinauwi niya pa ako, not the mayor, a friend. Pinauwi niya pa ako ng relyenong sugpo. Yeah. Kasi sabi niya, Professor, bibigyan kita ng paborito ng mga Pampanga. Ano yon? Yung cricket, yung adobong cricket. Masarap yun, ano? Pero siguro mas masarap ang relyenong sugpo. Sabi ko. I have nothing against adobong cricket. At saka yung, meron pa siyang sinabi, very, very exotic. Yes, I like that. But considering I can only bring one or two, bakit di mo na lang gawing relyenong sugpo? Bakit ako kakain ng cricket when I can have relyenong sugpo? Sabi niya, oh yes, I can do that too. So I went home with relyenong sugpo. But the last time I was in Pampanga, Angeles naman, nagulat ako, ha? Do you know the Koreans have taken over Pampanga? Did you know that? So in order ko, sabi ko, kasama ko yung mga nephews ko, nag-order ako sa waiter, dinan mo na akong tidtad, no? That's very Kapampangan, di ba, no? Tidtad. Dinan mo na akong tidtad. Parang kung yun eh, tinadtad na kang ano. Ay, wala na ho. Bakit wala na? Sir, ang amin ngayon kung gusto nyo eh, kimchi. Ha? Anong kimchi? Paano kaya? Sir, itong tinitinad namin ngayon kasi Koreano. Mga Koreano kumakain dito. Anong kimchi? Tidtad ka ko. Kimchi. I was part of the movement to drive away the American bases, bases in Clarkfield and in Subic. Now I am sorry I helped drive them away because the Koreans have taken over. The Koreans. And they arrive in a different airport. Mabuti pa ng Amerikano. Steak. Steak talaga. Wala nga sila ng tidtad. Would you like a steak? Of course, anytime, kako. Ngayon, it's kimchi. Which I hate. Because it's not my sensitivity. But sir, sila nagpapatayo ng mga hotel sa kanila mga infrastructure. Sa kanila, I hope the day does not come when the Koreans would take over. Hindi naman siguro. But I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I am not against the Koreans. But I prefer tintad talaga. Ano itong kimchi? No? In Pampanga, in Angeles, I'm not kidding. Okay. And then, when you carry out your business, most of the time, you must find yourself in a kind of possessing objectivity. When you make public appointments, when you award contracts, or recommending individuals for rewards and for benefits, holders of public office, you make choices many times. And you must possess a kind of objectivity, or you will run afoul with the law. You will really have to be very objective, especially in making appointments, especially in awarding contracts. Yan ang source ng corruption eh. Contracts, talaga naman legally correct lahat ng papers. Lahat ng papers naroon. But something is wrong somewhere. It verges on the unethical and the immoral. Although, the way it is written, parang okay to. But something is rotten in the state of Denmark. Ano? Something is wrong with it. It is not right. Parang ganun eh. Sometimes the question becomes, eto ba, ganun, I sense something which is not right. This is wrong, no? Public officials should be able to discern that. This is wrong. I feel that this is wrong or this is right. Although it has all the decorations of what is legal. Most of the crimes, most of the graft and corruption, which is the number one problem, as far as the world is, it's not only in the Philippines, it's in the US, it's in Japan, it is in China, it is everywhere. But the difference is, they go to jail. Yes, in China, they go to jail. In Japan, they either go to jail or they commit harakiri. Or in England, they go to jail. Dito hindi. They become glamorized. They are glamorized parang glamorous people when you know something is wrong, something is crooked. I agree with the president, it is crooked. I agree with that. Pero sometimes it is not always the case telling the people, kayo ang boss at susunod lang ako. Is that leadership? Kayo ang boss at susunod ako. Sometimes you have to tell the people where they should go, what they ought to do, what they must do, what they should do, because you are the leader elected. It is not that you will just mirror what they want, in which case you are a populist. You are a populist. You are mirroring what they want or what they want to have. Is that leading? Alam nyo, ang leading, Mao Zedong described it. Mao Zedong probably is one of my favorite uncles. Mao Zedong. Kasi magaling mag-isip si Mao, especially his concept of dialectics. No? Kay Mao, I am not advising you to have Mao Zedong literature in your offices because hahabulin kayo ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. Ito yung leader. You know, the leader is also following the people, but is also ahead of the people. He is not so ahead that he is alien from the people. he should not be so much behind that he is an alien. Ganun sapat, that you are leading but you are following. You are following but you are leading. You are a leader but you are a servant. You are a servant but you are leading. It's dialectics. It's the beautiful way of handling dialectics. Kita nyo? Bakit sa Inglaterra, all the letters I get when I get communication from England, nung British Council, recipient, meaning, Sir, I have the honor to remain your most faithful servant. And then he signs. At saka ang letterhead niya, it says, ICDM, I serve. No? Yung letterhead ng British Civil Service. Ang head niyan is ICDM, I serve. And the letter writer ends, I have the honor, sir, to remain your most faithful servant. And then he signs. Because he's really telling you what he is. He is your servant. He serves you. Totoo yan. Sa atin, bakit pag nanalo na after the election, hindi na siya yung servant, siya na yung master. Before that, he is available, pwedeng kausapin, kausapin ko si mayor, kausapin ko si councilor, kausapin ko yung kagawad, ang senador, available. But once the election is finished, hindi na. You give them the runaround until the next election, di ba? Until the next election, he becomes the servant of the people na naman. No? Usually, servant is, bibigyan niya ng pera, bribe, no? Pera. That is the only way he can buy their loyalty because he cannot buy their loyalty on the basis of his service. For he has not served them. But he can buy his loyalty, some Filipinos, not all, because if there is bribery, there is money. That is corruption. I think you know that. I don't have to explain it. You know it. And that calls for a kind of objectivity. And of course, it goes hand in hand with accountability or answerability na walang-wala sa atin. Sa atin, it is finger pointing. Hindi ako, siya. You see? Hindi ako yan, siya. Hindi ako, siya. Walang accountable. No one says, I am responsible for this, and this decision is mine. I will answer for it, and if you scrutinize it, it's my signature, I answer for it. Kasi pinirmahan mo. So you're accountable. You are answerable. You are responsible for that. After signing it, you cannot say, kasi pinapirma sa akin. Is that a defense? Pinapirma sa'yo? Is that a defense na sinabi niya, pirmahan ko? Nakapirma ka eh. I don't have to say, it begins with your signature. You signed it. You are therefore accountable. And you are always open. Openness. Especially those of you who hold public office. You are always open as much as possible. There is no reason why a decision is not given or is not given wider public interest. You are to inform. For example, nangyayari yan sa scholarship board. I will not mention names. Nasama ako noon, etc. And then, we were about to name a person to receive the scholarship, etc., etc. I don't want to be detailed, no? And then, I raised an objection. Bakit siya lang nakakaalam ng award ng offer na ito? No? 2 tao. Obviously, it was not given wide announcement. It should have been broadcast. There should have been posters. It should have been announced. It should have been told to everyone that such a post is available. Yung katwiran, ay, may bakante sa office, huwag ka nang kikibo. Mag-apply ka na riyan hanggang wala nag-a-apply. That is clearly illegal. That is clearly in violation of the law. Sa scholarship, lalo na. So, makuha niya yung scholarship, Kasi siya lang yung nakakaalam. Ang British Council, they announce the rules, they announce the examinations, they announce where the room will be, where the examination will take place. Talagang very, very open. And anyone may join. By the way, ganyan din sa Olympics. Nagtataka sila, paano nakapasok, 17-year-old, no? Tinulungan nung nanay, nagdaan din siya sa proseso. But they cannot exclude him. Hindi mo ma-exclude yan. Citizen of the world. That's the principle of the Olympics. Citizens of the world. And you cannot give any restriction. You cannot impose mga conditions on religion. No. It is open to all who are qualified. Of course, if you qualify or not, is subjected to a number of semifinals, finals. Pero kasama ka ron. Kaya hangang-hanga ako sa batang ito. Parang almost alone, assisted by a mother and a devoted coach. Kailangan, pangarap niya, makasama siya sa Olympics. The Olympiad. Lakas ng pangarap, ha? Olympics. That's the Nobel Prize. That's the Oscar kung Hollywood, no? That's the Pulitzer kung literature, no? Mataas talaga ang Olympics. But you know, it is open to all. It is, well, by open to all, I mean, ako siguro hindi na magkwa-qualify because I will not pass their series of semifinals, no? I am sure I will not qualify. Those days are gone. I mean, I missed my opportunity. Sayang. You know what this teenager yan, 17 years old, you know what he did? For the first time in 25 years or more, quarter of a century. Oh my Lord, the Philippines is in the Olympiad. Hindi lamang nag-qualify sa semifinals, nag-qualify. Well, number 18 lang siya. That is not the point. He never said he wanted to be sa 1, 2, 3. He's only 17 years old. Yung mga na 1, 2, 3 yan, that is Japan, that is Canada, a European country. At saka dyan, may yelo. Meron dito, bibili pa yata siya ng yelo sa kanto, no? It's yellow. USA puro, lalo na ngayon, with the storm binabagyo sila ng yellow dyan. Russia and everywhere. Dito hindi. Noon meron sa SM. Nawala na rin sa SM. Walang may interest dyan eh. But this boy had that interest. And it was nourished by him. Yun ang pinumi niya sinasabi eh. Oh, just believe in your dream and follow your dream. Yun lang. Yun lang. My God, coming from a 17-year-old, ano? Believe in your dream and follow that dream. And it led him to the Olympics, to the Olympiad. Now he is the talk of the Western press. Not because pa-cute siya, o kanta siya ng kanta, o lumabas siya sa teleserye, o lumabas siya sa ridiculous movie, no? No, it is his talent. I have always wanted to join the Olympics. That's part of our history, the Olympiad of the Greeks, no? That was revived in 1896 by a French hanggang ngayon, and it is open to all. There is openness, which is a very good rule. In our offices then dapat, openness. Meron palang ganyang position. This should have been announced, at saka in-announce sa dyaryo, in-announce sa lahat, sa social media, so that more and more could apply. Until then, we should not give this scholarship, I said. Nagalit yung sponsor. No. I cannot believe a scholarship, dalawa lang nag-apply. I cannot believe that. It is only because only 2 knew about it. Is that fair? It's not fair. It is sentimental. Romeo and Juliet ang una niya. And then sinunod niya yung Malagenia. At sinasayaw niya to the admiration of the commentators. Nakikinig ba kayo sa commentators ng Olympics? Those are English snobs. Alam na alam nila ang game kasi. Kagad nilang minemeasure ang performance. Kasi maalam sila dyan. Maalam. Hindi sila gagawing commentators. Hindi ka mukha yun dito. Naka-commentator tayo one time. Ginadjudge niya rin yata yung gaya. Ito lang sabi niya, sa bagay, artista siya, no ha? Ito na yung ating kandidato. Ginawa yata ko. Ito, ang ganda, ang ganda ng kanyang balance. Natural, may balance yun, hindi natumba na siya, no? Pag wala kang balance, tataob ka. Madadapa ka. Madudulas ka. Ito lang comment niya. Alam mo, masasabi ko, yung kanyang balance. Talaga yung balance niya, balance na balance. Siguro kinilo niya. Alam mo, mas maganda pa nga yan. Kasi alam mo, sa palengke, I go to market. Yes, I do. Paminsan-minsan, pag hinahanap ko yung paborito ko, yung hindi, pinagagawa ko na lang doon sa kaibigan ko sa Pampanga. Starting with relyenong sugpo. That one, hindi ko magawa, no? Tsaka mahirap maghanap ng sugpo. At tsaka mahal ang sugpo, di ba? I would go to market. Kinilo niya na, no, ha? Anong ganda, no? Ayan na ba? 1 kilo na yan. Mali yan, hindi ho. Sige, ibalot mo na rin yung kamay mo. Kasi yung kamay mo, naglambitin ka riyan, sinama mo, binili ko na. I own your arm now. Pinababalot ko yung kamay niya. Kasi nagganon siya. Tama ba yan? Tsaka professor ako, alam ko yung weights and measures, no ha? Kanila, okay. Ibalot, miss pa naman, ang ganda pa naman ng miss. Miss, ibalot mo na rin yung forearm mo dahil binayaran ko na. Binayaran ko na yung kamay mo. Why do we make comments that way? Nung dumating naman ng Santo Papa, ito Santo Papa, mga announcers yan, ano? Yan yung mga famous announcers natin sa television. Alam ko, kasi narito ako nung dumating si Paul, no? John Paul. Ito sabi niya, ito na, nagsasalita ng Santo Papa. Alam nyo, ang gustong sabihin ng Santo Papa ay, paano niyang alam yun? I mean, ang gusto sabihin ng Santo Papa, tayo alam mo, kapag Santo Papa nagsalita, we keep quiet and we reflect on the words of the Pope. Hindi ba? There's no such thing. Ang gusto niya sabihin ay, kung gusto niya sabihin, sinabi niya na yon. Why can they not keep quiet and reflect? Yung mga interview, kahit ini-interview presidente, interview mga programa nila sa TV, mga tanong nila bakit gano'n, ha? Kaya nakakasundo sila. Tingnan nyo how Obama is interviewed. There is an objectivity at saka yung reporter represents the public. The public wants to know this. Kaya itatanong niya. Although magagalit yung si Obama hindi naman magagalit, ano ha? Pero sa atin, sinasabayan natin, kaya mahal tayo na nag-i-interview. Pangulo, anong naramdaman ninyo noong, alam nyo, nung namatay ng mahal niyong ina at saka nagduros ang bayan, anong naramdaman nyo? Sagot na, ako'y nalungkot. Nalungkot. Buti hindi niya tinanong, paano kayong nalungkot? Why? Bakit ganyan is stupidity? It is because they do not do their homework. They really do not know what questions to ask. Pag wala nang matanong, ito na lang yung game nila. Mabilis ang sagot mo rito, ha? Mabilis ang sagot dito, ha? Boxer or short? Boxer. Gabi o tanghali? Gabi. Mga stupid questions at ang kinakausap, public figures. And they play along because That is the political thing to do. Kung ako yung magwo-walk out ako. Pag tinanong sa akin, boxer or short, hubarin ko na lang ang pantalong ko. Here, you decide for yourself. Di ba ganun magtanong? Boxer or short? Pula o puti? It is stupidity in the guise of journalism. There are exceptions. Hindi lahat ganito. Maraming exceptions sa ating radio. Talagang laganap na laganap ang stupidity. Sabi ko nga sa klasiko, alam nyo, class, there is a species na hindi naman endangered. Laganap pa ng laganap. Sir, ano sir yun? I call it the Bobus Filipinos. Meron bang gano'n? Meron? Hindi endangered yan, kumakalat yan. Makalat. You watch an interview. You watch. Pag nag-i-interview sa CNN, talagang ang tanong ay tanong, no? Sina Amanpour, si Farid Shah. Magalang pero diretso ang tanong. Hindi ito tatanungin mo yung, hindi mo na masabi ito publicly kasi, ay, nainggit lang yan, nainggit lang siya. Ganun tayo eh. O, nainggit lang yan, nainggit lang yan. Eh. Or take the film festival. Di ba there was a time we had such movies as a movie on Jose Rizal. Yun ang purpose ng film festival, to elevate the taste of the public. Ngayon, ano mga sine ngayon? Yung kabayo, nagiging box office, ano ha? O, lumilipad, lipad dito, lipad doon. It is an insult on the intelligence. Ang Filipino is more intelligent than they assume it to be. Kasi alam mo, iniiwasan din. I saw a family watching yung still shots. Wag, sabi ng tatay, sabi na, sayang ang pera natin dyan. Talaga namimili sila. The Filipino, ang ganda ng intelligence ng Filipino. If we were not intelligent, how did we produce someone like Jose Rizal? Sige nga. If we were not intelligent, why do we have universities like UST, UP, University of Makati? Merong intelligence ang Filipino. Ang mga producers, they go down, they do not raise the level of intelligence. Ito ang gusto ng tao, ito yung gusto ng tao. Kaya kita mo box office, bakla, tomboy, binabae, bakla, tomboy. Number 1 yan. At saka discussion na ng topic is of course superficial. Hindi naman sociologically or psychologically. It is laugh, patawanin, at the price of insulting certain people. Naiinsulto na. Sa atin ang insulto is laughter, no? Sa Amerika, hindi makakalusot yan. It will be called impolitic at saka mabilis ang social media mag-react. Dito hindi tayo nagre-react. May exception. Sa corruption, mabilis tayong mag-react. Di ba naglabas tayo ng malaki-malaking forum? Pero nakakalusot. It's an insult on the intelligence. We can produce very good movies. Hindi ko naman sabihin, every movie should be a movie on Jose Rizal. Wala namang manonood dyan, kundi ako lang, no? Ako naman, alam ko na ang buhay ni Jose Rizal. I don't have to see it in movies. But my students, I require them to, no? Sabagay may mga errors yung movie, pero at least it is a movie on Jose Rizal. Kamukha nun, ano? Hinanap ko yung movie on Pedro, yung San Pedro, yung naging saint, kasi hindi ko alam ang kanyang buhay. Hinahabol ko sa Mega Mall, ano ha? Kasi yun lang ang panahon ko. Pagdating ko, wala na, ano palabas niya? Ito ho, bakla, tomboy, bakla, tomboy. Sabi ko, hello, marami na yan sa labas, ba't manonood pa ako rito? Nagkalat na yan sa lipunan. Bakit manonood pa ako ng sine? Malang sine Well, of course, I have a discount, ano? But I have to show my discount. And I have to sign pa, no? Pipirma pa. Sa Amerika, hindi. alam na nila, your discount. How did you guess? Kako pa. Well, I know you're a senior. You don't have to show anything. Alam nila. They assume it. Dito talaga pakikita mo pa. At saka, hindi ka na pwedeng kumuha pa ng addition. Hindi na ho pwede. Minsan yun lang pwedeng kami. Kamukha nito, nag-order ako ng food. Sabagay sabi sa akin ni President Arroyo, Professor, you're not supposed to use your discount card. Everybody uses it, even in Makati. So, ginanong ko, di na-excuse. Nabawasan yata ng 15 centimos yung binili ko. Minalimutan akong orderan. So, gusto ko pa noon. Hindi na, sir. Nagamit na yan. Minsan lang. Anong minsan? Nasa batas ba yun? Hindi ho na. Minsan. Show me where the law says, no, nasa batas na ho yan. Paano ka nabasa mo yung law? Nagbasa ka ng law? Kakong ganyan. As they say, only in the Philippines. Talaga. Only in the Philippines. And then, of course, that runs through this is, of course, honesty, declaring any private interests relating to their public duties and to take steps to resolve any conflicts arising in a way that protects the public interest. Madali naman itong malusutan eh. Iiwanan niya muna, bigay niya sa anak niya. Usually ganyan eh. Wala na ako yan. I have divested myself. Ganyan. Nagpunta kay Junior muna. Di ba? Wala na kasi nagko-question na yun eh. Pero sa Amerika, they go. By America, by England, by Japan, I know those countries that strictly observe the rule of law, they will really trace it. Any connection, hindi pwede. Any connection, hindi pwede. It violates the principle of ang public interest and your own financial interest. Di ba nagkaroon lang kaso ngayon? But it is not governmental. Yung nagreklamo about pipirma na lang yung kontrata and then a member of the board na examine niya, yung isa pala may relation to sa isang board of governors and therefore it will affect and they will not go on with the contract. Okay. So, leaders are like this and they are guided. But most of the time, they show it by example. In fact, that is the only way the leader can be effective, by leading and showing the example. Hindi ba you teach by example? Hindi ba that is the best way for a teacher? The teacher teaches. I know it. Hindi ako nagyayabang. At least dito sa PUP, I am never late. Kasi sayang yung oras. No? Plus, yun ang time nila, 1 hour and a half. And I told my students, and I told fellow teachers, each time we are late 30 minutes, are we not guilty of robbing them of their just dessert? Kasi binayaran yon. And then, hindi ka lumitaw ng 30 minutes, that is a form of corruption. Para ring, inuwi mo, ganun kakapal na coupon bond, that is corruption. Although it belongs to your office, it does not belong to your house. That is the point. Therefore, if we are late, maliban na lamang for very justifiable reasons, is that not a form of corruption? Hindi na ba siya ng UNESCO? Remember, I was a member of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural. Being late is a form of corruption. Kaya naman pala, in American universities, when they say my lecture is 11 to 12, 11 o'clock naroon na lahat. Hindi pa nangyaring dumating akong 11, isa-isa pang dumarating mga isa. Or they apologize 5 minutes. Napansin ko sa mga Philippine schools, I'm not sure about UM, but even in UST, misan, or UP, or UE, matagal pa yung mga teachers nag-uusap sa corridor kasi ang traffic of people is heavy. And then pagdating niya, ano nang gagawin niya? He will call the roll. So, mauubos na yung time until the bell rings, the tintinabulation of the bell. Yun lang roll ko. Ako, I check the roll. But I have a desk. At saka, alam ko naman yung absent magkakatabi yan eh. I-report sa akin, sino ngayon sa katabi nyo, wala dyan ngayon. Be honest because I have the class record. Ganyan ako ngayon. Yes, up to now, I do it. Sir, wala. Are you sure? Wala. Bakit bakante yun? Bakit bakante yun? Sir, lumabas. Lumabas na ano? Sir, umihi. Absent siya nun. Pag hindi kayo nagpaalam, kahit umihi ka, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that is absence. Absence. By the way, I wanted to introduce a rule sa catalog na an absence after a holiday should be counted as 2 absences. Nakita ko yan in a catalog in a university in the USA na an absence committed after a vacation, after a holiday, is counted as 2 absences. Maganda yun Kasi may tendency tayo, holiday ang Lunes, gawin na rin ang hating holiday ang Martes. Sa Miyerkules na ako papasok. No? Kasi naman, Lunes, holiday naman kahapon. Holiday, sa Miyerkules na lang. Pag ganon, it should be counted as 2. Kaya lang ayaw pumayag. Sir, hindi natin magagawa yun. Baka magreklamo sa CHED. No? Wala namang ganung rule ang CHED. An absence after a vacation. Kasi napansin ko, do you know, before Valentine, wala na rin nagre-report? Bakit hindi ka nagre-report before the Valentine? Sir, kasi madalang na ang mga motels pag Biyernes. Lunes pa lang nagre-reserve na kami. Lunes pa lang nagre-reserve na. Because yung Friday wala na. Maghihintay ka talaga. Maghihintay kang matagal na matagal. Dapat, Huwebes pa lang naroon ka na. Reserve mo. And then you can stay up to Saturday. Siguro, I'm exaggerating. But what I'm saying is, an absence after a holiday is counted as 2. Nangyayari pa sa atin yon? Hindi. Kasi talaga magka-absent ka because it's the law of motion. A body in motion is in motion. But a body in rest, magre-rest yan. Tuesday, it's a body in rest. And then after resting, he will say, ay, nako, ang sarap magpahinga after doing nothing. Di ba ganun yan? That is a Spanish proverb. Mga Spaniards mahilig yan, mga siesta. There is Spanish saying, how beautiful it is to say, how beautiful it is to rest after doing nothing. It's a body at rest. Kaya, tingnan niyo yung momentum. A body at rest, gawin yung a body in motion. Kamukha kaninang umaga, I wanted so much to sleep more. After all, I deserve it at my age. Dapat naman wag ako magigising ng ganong kaaga. But I know I will be fetched by this. Lalo na inantok ako, tinapos ko yung Olympics. Kasi napakaganda naman talaga. At saka that is the Olympiad, ano ha? Tsaka I like it, the idea the Philippines was represented after more than 25 years. After a quarter of a century. Kahit si Pacquiao hindi nag-Olympics, champion siya kagad, ano ha? But Rafa Nadal, nagdadaan sa Olympics. Champion niya sa tennis. But do you know he's also the champion sa Olympics, ng Summer Olympics? Olympics is the final test. Talaga. Kahit napakagaling mo, boksingero, dapat nagdaan ka sa Olympics. Itong teenager na ito brought back the name Philippines sa the Olympiad. Ginawa nila. Ngayon, everybody is happy. I hope appropriate honors will be given to him. Now, sa Glasgow, they don't make distinction between political science and moral philosophy. And then my professor was saying, Professor WJM, that is why the politics of Aristotle is the continuation of the first book on the arts and philosophy ni Aristotle. It's moral philosophy when we call it political science. Kaya sa kanila, leadership is also moral leadership. But bakit ganun moral? Hindi naman kami mga pare. No, but morality is part of it. We call it the ethical leadership. I think the highly developed emotional intelligence insists on it. Moral leaders know how to manage themselves, how to temper their egos, how to act with nobility and rectitude. This is the matter, the issue before our public service, before public administration, acting with moral rectitude, with moral correctness. They work to overcome obstacles and are skilled at the art of consultation. Consultation is very much part of leadership. They build consensus, navigate diversity, and establish unity. How beautiful, no? In your office, nagsisimula kayo from different directions, then you try to define a consensus among you, and then you navigate the diversity among you, among members of the staff, among members of the office. Differences are navigated, and you end by establishing unity. Ang ganda isulat niya sa offices, ha? We must build a consensus and let us navigate our diversity in order to establish unity in our office. Totoo, people are diverse. Iba-ibang tao. Kanya-kanyang ugali. But even that can be navigated with an upper goal, the establishing of solidarity in the city council. Well, after navigating, because we cannot all be the same. We are not robocops. No? Hindi naman tayo made from computers. Rather, computers are our slaves. So maraming different, even in a classroom, ang daming differences in a classroom. But the professor is there to navigate those differences with the end in view of establishing unity for the goals of the course. Beautiful, I find that beautiful. Especially when you view moral leaders as the conscience. We must have a moral compass. Nothing can tell us what it is, except there is a moral compass in our brain. And we will do it because it is the right thing to do. Even if no one is, I will still do it. Ang ganda nun yung nagsasabi, sa classroom, kaya naman sir kami nangopya, lahat naman nagkokopyahan. Usually, by consensus yan eh. Sir, nagkokopya, kaya nagkokopyahan kami. So I devoted an entire hour analyzing that. Kung lahat magkokopyahan, anong nangyari sa certain rules, no? Kasi you are honest, even if you are surrounded by all the dishonest men in the world. You will be honest because it is the right thing to do, di ba? You will not do it. Hindi naman nakatingin yung pulis. Pero nakatingin ka, alam mo nakatingin ka. And to your moral compass, it is not the right thing to do. If only we will be that way, I know that is wishing for heaven, we would have less corruption. Everybody is dishonest. be honest anyway. Sabi ni Sister Teresa, alam mo si Mother Teresa may prayer eh. I'm surrounded by all these dishonest men. I will be honest just the same. Talaga you will insist it. Ako ito, I will do it myself. So, lahat ng kaklase ko nag-cheating, I will not do it. Because ako yun eh. I have this moral compass. It is not the right thing to do. Ibang-iba na ngayon ang morals, ano? If everyone does it, do it. Join the bandwagon. I don't think so. Because it is not right. It is wrong. Ganun yan eh. You know how Apolinario Mabini defined liberty sa kanyang memorya sobre la Revolución Filipina? Alam mo sinabi niya ron? Sa kanya, liberty is the freedom to do good. The great Apolinario Mabini. Freedom is the liberty to do good. It is your freedom to do good. It is not the freedom to steal or the freedom to rob. Because freedom is not equated with robbing and stealing. It had to come from Mabini, whose moral decalogues, yung kanyang decalogo, talagang parang 10 Commandments na sinunod ni Apolinario Mabini. Para rin yung kartilya ng katipunan ni Emilio Jacinto at ni Andres Bonifacio. Meron tayong mga maganda yung prescription, hindi nasusunod. But it is there, it is prescribed, but it is not followed. No? And that equates with when you say, I do not trust that leader, I do not trust that president, halimbawa. But I do not like him, I do not trust him personally, but I like his programs. Pwede ba yun? I do not trust him, but I like his programs. An authority calls that an oxymoron. It is a contradiction in terms. It is an oxymoron. It is illegal. It is not logical. If you cannot trust a leader, he cannot know. In the final analysis, the direction of his programs is awful. A component of personal integrity is the matter of example. Iba ang trust. That is a very important element in leadership. We trust the president or we do not trust the president. Minsan, ang galing-galing ng president, but I do not trust him. Parang ganon, ano? Kasi yung element ng trust passes through a moral compass. Something tells me he cannot be trusted because you go into the question of personal integrity. I had an experience of that kahapon lang, nung isang araw. I was watching Ruby Tuazon in her testimony talaga. Mabuti kino-close up sa Channel 4, Solar Television. That's a good television program. Mga Filipinos yan, Filipino managed. But it is sensible. It is logical. It makes sense. Hindi totoo, and it is entertaining. Sino nagsabi when you become entertaining, you lose the public? No. Well, I do not tell you what you should watch. But on Solar TV, pinrogram siya, tsaka sa Channel 4, public television. Titignan mo yung mukha eh. Something in you, nagkikita kayo, ang lapit eh. I can trust this girl. I'm convinced. Ganun eh. Hindi mo maipaliwanag. It's the element of trust. Never mind, nanggaling pa siya sa States, ibabalik niya yung 40 billions, ganito, at saka nagsilbi siya kay Estrada. As she comes out, and as she says what she says, I don't know, personal ko lang ito, I can trust her. The way Laila de Lima says, kanyan, uh, slam dunk, no? Yung basketball metaphor, slam dunk, or kung ito, bullseye, sabi ni Senadora Defensor. Ako, I do not listen to this. I have my ways of evaluating. Kaya I have to watch, I have to listen. Somehow, I can trust this one. Malalaman mo naman eh. Somehow, no? By looking at the face, it is not that I am prejudiced, ganito. I'll stop there. Ano? Ayoko na mag-comment any further. Hanggang doon na lang ako. I can trust, and therefore I feel she's entitled. Candidate lang siya for protection. Candidate. She has to qualify all the elements. Si Senadora, who knows her law, Defensor Santiago, she certainly knows law, sabi niya, you qualify under these elements, etc., etc., etc. But hindi mo alam lahat ng detalye. Yun ang proof na talaga I can trust. You cannot remember all the details, ano? Ano yung ginawa? Anong oras? Record mo ba? Nagsisinungaling ka. Hindi yun ang component ng trust. Hindi mo alam pala kung ano nasa envelope. Hindi mo alam kung alam ba? Magkano? Hindi mo binilang. Kailan ito? Those are questions that must be answered. Pero hindi yun ang components ng trust. Somehow, I can trust this person. I can trust. Trust. Kaya ako, one time, I wanted to use my MasterCard and I fell short of money. Di ba sabi ko, ako isang abangguro. So, I fall short of money and I wanted to borrow against my card. I went to a bank, Citibank of New York, dito sa New York. Hinihingan ako ng kung anong number, PIN number, and of course, I don't have it. Kasi hindi ko naman ugali yung nag-advance na ganon. Wala siya magagawa. She enforces her rules. Can I talk to your manager, kako? Sinalubong pa ako ng manager sa taas. No? Nag-usap kaming ganyan, nag-discuss kami. Hindi niya ako tinanong, where will you get your money, who are you, etc. What are your wala siyang tinatanong. Usap siya, what are you doing? Sabi ko, I will deliver a lecture at Columbia University, kakong ganyan, and ganito, I fell short of this account, etc. And I really forgot. I don't even know what a PIN number is. But I am that person. Ganyan. Ganyan, usap. Sinamahan niya pa ako. Binigay niya sa akin yung pera. And that is why he's a manager pala. Bank managers can evaluate. Meron silang ways. Yung clerk at the counter may not have that ability. Kaya huwag kayo magagalit sa clerk. Susundin niya yung rule na binigay sa kanya. Wala, hanggang doon lang siya. Do not argue. She's doing her job. Ako hindi. Can I talk to the manager? Yes, sir. Tinawag niya. So, I really refer it to the manager, no? Nag-usap kami. Siguro naman, I exude all the elements that convinced him I can trust this person, no? Why does he have the ability? That is why manager siya ng bangko. Kung hindi siya manager, he will not have that ability. Kaya, nasa grade yan eh. Kung clerk lang, I will not, di ba ako kilala kung sino ako? Yung gano'n. Hindi kanya makikilala talaga. Yung gano'n eh. Kilala mo ako? Of course, hindi kanya kilala. Kasi sa Pilipinas, dapat ako nung tinanong sa kilala mo, hindi kita kilala. Bakit? Ikaw ba si Fernando Po Jr.? Ang kilala ko lang si Fernando Po Jr. Ikaw ba si Fernando Po Jr.? O hindi naman siya. Hindi kita kilala. Ako. Yun ang kilala ko, artista, halimbawa. Kilala mo ako? Kung sa hindi ko kayo kilala. Sino kilala mo? Si Fernando Po Jr. Sabagay, namatay na yun, ano? Pero kilala ko yun. Meron kong kakilala, mataas ang position niya. Sa airport, useless to say who you are. Sundin mo na lang. Ang dali naman mag-rules, ano? Ako, hubarin ko kagad ang sapatos ko. I will not say, kilala mo ako? Kung sagot sa akin, no, I do not know you. And of course, he will not know you. He knows his job. He doesn't know you. Di ba? Pero one time, nagyayabang ako. Why don't you Google kako? You type Jose David Lapuz, and that is me. Ginawa ko yun sa isang restaurant. Talaga. That's a smartphone, huh? Yes. Can you Google? Yes. Can you type Jose David Lapuz? This is you, kanya. Yes, I am that one. Nagsisi ako kasi kailangan kong dagdagan yung tip, no? Alam nyo, sa Amerika, okay na 10 to 15%. Yung 10% parang walang kwenta. Minsan binibigay ko lang 10% talaga, 15%. Ito nakilala ka niya, naka-Google pa siya, nagbigay ako ng 20%. Pero nanginginig ako nung tip, no? Magkano kaya yun kako? Ginaganyan ko pa, kino-compute ko yung 20%, mababa na, and then I signed, ano ha? Since then, I never asked them for their smartphone to look for me. Mas matipid. Hindi ka bibigyan discount. Sa Pilipinas, so wag na kayo magbayad. Kilala pa. Sa Amerika, hindi. They hire the tip. Kasi nakilala ka nagpakilala ka Hindi ba may kasabihan, noblesse oblige, nobility obligates? That is why you tip. Actually, if you don't want to tip, don't. No law tells you to pay a tip. But there is a rule, there is an axiom among gentlemen, among men of higher education, that nobility obligates, noblesse oblige. Magtitip ako. Not because I'm required to, but the nobility in me obligates me to give this reasonable tip. Ganyan. Hindi sasama ang loob mo kapag sinabi mong nobility obligates. Magagalit ka kapag pinilit ka mag-tip, di ba? But we really have to tip for extra services naman talaga. Kamukha ng taxi. Bakit? Put yourself in the position of taxi drivers. Mga tao naman, ang weather is so horrendous. Sasakay sila, 4 sila, 3, 4. Of course, hindi ka kailangan mag-tip. Pero, pag sinag-suggest naman ng driver, bawal din yun, humingi ka ng tip. But it should occur to you, this is not a normal day. Ang lakas ng ulan. Ang traffic, matagal bago siya makabawi. Babalik pa siya. At saka, I got him when I needed him. Yun ang importante When I needed him, naroon siya. Mag-tip nga ako. Why do I do that? The nobility in me obligates. Bakit yung iba ayaw? Wala silang nobility. Yun ang sagot doon. Yun ang sagot doon. Bakit yung iba hindi? Wala nga silang nobility. The nobility in you, nobody forces you to do it. But you will do it because it is the noble thing to do. Put it in your head. Huwag kayong magtitip because inutusan kayo magtip. Talagang bawal. At saka hindi dapat. Sa French restaurant nga, non-compris. It is not included. Yung lamang sinulat nila non-compris, it is not included. The more, magtitip ka. Kasi nakasulat doon, the one is not included. Hindi pala included, wag na ako mag-tip. No. It's a very French way of saying, you tip. Kasi the tip is not included in the bill. Non-compris. It is not included. Literally, hindi pala included Hindi na ako mag-tip. No. The more you will tip. Bakit? The nobility in man. Lalo na nakasulat in French. Nakasulat in French. Naintindihan niya, non-compris, not included. Tama siya, it is not included. Because hindi niya alam ang nuance of the French language. talagang kasama yung tip. Sa New York, they can be more insulting. Baka kala mo, pag naiwan na, lalo na kung black, hello, you forgot your change. You forgot your change. May nakita ko riyan isang elderly woman, ang tagal niya sa table yata. And then, can I have a refill? Talagang kailangan naman ng refill, ano? Lalo na New York, sus Mariosep, mga waiters yan. Can I have a refill? Alam mo sinabi ng waiters, stick around, honey. You may even get a refund. Sabi sa kanya. Sabi niya lamang, excuse me, naawa naman ako, matanda na yan. Ano? Can I have a refill? Gumagano pa yung kamay, can I have a refill? Siguro she had a long day, no? Alam mo sinigaw ng waitress? Stick around, honey. You may even get a refund. Subukan mo ulitin ang order mo. She shouts across the room, I heard you the first time. Bakit sila ganon? Because ang culture is such, they know where they stand and they know what their rights are. Di ba? Of course, waiter yon. But she knows her rights. The more you respect her. Kaya gusto ko New York, it teaches you humility. No? Di ba ako, ang tagal ko magkape dahil nagtitipid ako, ganyan kape. Actually, wala nang laman yan. Pinabasa ko pa yung dyaryo. Titingin yung cashier, pagtingin sabi ko, then napapaso pa ako. Wala nang laman yon. Kanina ko pa iniinom eh. That's why they use the phrase, nourish your coffee. No? Hindi naman drink your coffee Nourish your cup of coffee. Kasi mahal. Di ba sabi ko, ako'y abangguro, nagtitipid. Pag ano ko, tinatapos ko yung New York Times. No? Aba, lumapit yung isang way, nilikpit yung New York Times. Nilikpit talaga. Did I get the message? No. Naglabas ako ng maliit na pocketbook ko naman. Pagtingin, ayun naman. Oh, napapaso pa ako. The third time, hindi na. Malis na ako. Baka lumapit siya. Alugin niya yung kape. Alugin niya. I do not advise that you should do this. Do this only when you are a very sophisticated New Yorker. We have ways of doing it and get away with it. Ano? You must know how to get away with it kasi nakakahiya talaga. Lalo kung naka-Amerikana ka, ano ha? Kasi when I travel like a maharaja, no? Nakakuan ako, con todo, etc., etc. Bakit? Because, you know, palagay natin you are poor. When I travel, why should they know that I am poor? You see, that's my business. It's my business. I am poor. Why should the New Yorkers know that? It's none of their business. There is nothing they can do to alleviate your poverty, no? At saka appearances are important, no? Nakaganyan ako, taas noo, no? Pero mentally, kino-compute ko yung allowance ko. Pwede pa yun, no? Kino-compute ko. Or minsan may dala akong calculator. Talaga. Kina-calculate ko. Titignan ko yung halaga ng commodity, no? Patapos, kasi hindi ko may memorya, no? Tsaka, pag pesos na, aalis ka na, di ba? Nakakainis tong conversion. Pag kinonvert na, kasi, alam mo, sa France, halimbawa, ang coffee is €1 plus some coins, iba pa yung tip, no? When I do translating, malaki yung euro, no? Bakit naman kakong ganyan, no? That is it. That is the way. That is the culture of the place. Ang ginawa ko, humingi na lang ako ng coffee sa desk. Kasi yung hotel ko is such, kaibigan ko yung manager, nagbibigay ng, can I have that? I feel so, I will need an extra cup of coffee. Can you bring to? Yes, sir. Class, paano ha? Inihingi mo sa desk, and that you are a resident of that hotel in that fashionable address. Pero sa akin, tipid din yun eh. You know, kailangan ako magtipid, ladies and gentlemen, because professors are not given pidap. Wala eh. So, it becomes important we do it. At saka, alam mo, ang paborito ko, beef pirmier, beef steak, beef. I never really touch pork, no? Pork, ibang klaseng pork. Ang pork ay pork, no? I am more on the beef side. I can distinguish between beef and pork. Many senators could no longer distinguish beef from pork. Iba, I'm just kidding. Now, so, what we call public administration and democracy, the respect for law and the respect for the system of government. That is one principle. I should conclude in 10 minutes to allow for open forum, no? So let me hurry it up because it's 11:20. I need a forum, 30 minutes. I'll just read this on, and then to allow for the peaceful and lawful transfer of power. That is what makes our government democratic. A peaceful transfer of power. And then, of course, that the decisions of the courts are enforced. Napakahirap enforce even if there is already a decision of the court. Talaga. I'm experiencing that in my community. Meron na pa yung korte, sir, wala pa yung sheriff. Hindi pa natin ma-enforce. Yung police naman, kaibigan ko lahat yung sa Station 7, sir, we cannot enforce it unless we have this decision. Ganon. O sige, okay. Hindi man ako nagagalit. Because that is really the system of democratic governments. And then, upholding a just, fair, and honest government. That is one thing I'd like to give credits to the Aquino government. Talaga man ang reputation, naroon pa rin, honesty, no? Of course, may mga bulong-bulungan, but personally, I'm not convinced with the bulong-bulungan. When I look at our president, I am convinced he can be trusted. Ganun ako. Well, it's a personal choice, huh? By the way, I did not serve under him. I served under Gloria Arroyo. I was the foreign policy advisor of the president every time she traveled, but I did not travel with her. I wrote foreign policy speeches, no? But that was from a distance. Gloria I respect as a person, as a human person, but I did not get to know her that close. But from what I know, assiduous to her duty. Baka meron pang dapat malaman, hindi ko alam talaga because hanggang dun lang ako. I'm not nasa close system. I think it is important. It does not mean they will be present for long. Kailangan din mapalitan after 6 years. And when you look at these scandals, can all this be solved by 2016? I doubt it. 2014, 15, 16. Sa 2016, iba na ang sistema. Oh, how do we enforce the things that should be enforced? And the respect for cultural values natin. Marami. Our customs, our traditions. And of course, a respect for people on whose behalf leaders exercise power. Hindi lamang siguro yung leader ang igagalang. And even yung what I said here, respect for people on whose behalf leaders exercise power, if the responsibility is brought down responsibly. Respect for the members of the public. Always do that. A member of the public, ay, public lang yan. Do you realize public yan comes from the noble word pueblo, the public, which is really what democracy is. Democracy is from the Greek words demos, kratein. Demos, the people, which is the public. Or as the Romans will call it, the respublica. Demos, kratein, the Greek word for the rule. It is the public that rules. So when you see members of the public, you see the public from whose authority your own authority emanates. When we remember this as civil servants, as administrators, we wield power. And then we are in front of the very public that we serve. The next time we become so, thank you, the next time we become so arrogant, so insolent, probably we will recall, but this is the public, or this is the member of the public, and it is from that public that my authority derives. Then we acquire a sense of proportionate understanding. No? Kaya ang sarap yung ending ng mga British, I serve. Sa atin din inyong paglingkuran. Hindi ka nababawasan nun, inyong paglingkuran. Sa bagay yung iba, hindi marunong kumilala. Akala nila, utusan ka. Hindi bali na kung anong akala nila sa inyo. No? Ang importante, ang akala ninyo sa sarili nyo. It is how you regard yourself. Members of the public, ganon. Mahirap put into words and it is so easy magsalita, no? In this sense, ang model natin doon mga leaders, si Mandela, why si Mandela is so respected? He refused to run again. He could have run again. He was the most popular one in South Africa. He refused to run. That did not stop him from serving. He led pa the Mandela Foundation. Ang dami niyang ginawa. Kaya nung namatay siya, the whole world commemorated the death of a Mandela. Or a Mahatma Gandhi. Or our own Dr. Jose Rizal. Ano? Our own Dr. Jose Rizal. His capacity for understanding the Filipinos. And which I will go very roughly to the last part of my theme, which is vision. Gusto ko hawakan yon, the concept for vision. Ako, ang concept ko sa sarili ko, I have my own vision for myself. Yeah, for myself. Ako, sinulat ko sarili ko sa utak ko for a constructive global citizenship. I regard myself, yung sinabi sa akin ng diploma sa Hawaii, a citizen of the world. Nagustuhan ko yun I'm a Filipino citizen. But I think it is true I'm a citizen of the world. Kasi pag nasa taas ka na eroplano, wala nang states Puro bundok and oceans and rivers. Nagkakaroon lang ng concept of a state the moment you are down, and then you have to show your passport. What is your passport? Filipino passport. Ayun, lumalabas ng statehood. Pero above, we are all global. Oh, how is that? Think globally. But you stand on firm earth, no? Narito ang paa mo sa Pilipinas, but you think globally. That is what I mean for myself alone, for a constructive global citizenship, which is so lacking among us until may nangyayaring Yolanda, no? then we see how truly global the world is. Yolanda, no? People like, kita mo yung nagpupuntahan dito. Well, thanks to CNN, thanks to the global news, thanks to cyberspace, to the computers, it's known. Isa-isang dumarating, hindi nila kilala, no? Kamukha yung bata nasa Leyte, hindi niya kilala sino yung football player na yun. Alam lang na, si Beckham, tawa lang ng tawa siya, tawa rin sila ng tawa. That is it. They are global citizens. Pumunta yon as ambassador of UNICEF, by the way. No? Talaga, naroon sila sa Leyte. CNN nasa Leyte. The King of Norway nasa Leyte. Leyte, the Queen of England nagpunta sa Leyte, nagpadala. The Pope, no? The reason President Obama is arriving April because of later, and of course, he did not say that because he missed the first invitation. We are on the global map. Of course, it's a disaster, but I think it is these disasters that make us realize we are global citizens. Or take that teenager, isang gabi, no? Naroon siya. So, okay, anong ginagawa niya ron? Naroon siya. Russian sa mga kausap niya. Kasama niya, mga Europeans, ano? Siyempre, makagaling yun, mga world global champions yun. Siya is just starting 17 years old. Naroon siya as part of the Olympics. It's a global citizenship. At the same time, we are local Philippines. Ganyan na ganyan si Jose Rizal. He was a Filipino, but he was a global citizen. And speaking of the global citizen, there are 7 billion global citizens ngayon. 7 billions. Now, 2 billions yan gumagamit ng Facebook. 2 billions, no? Of the 7 billions. And then it says, 3 billions of the world, di ba 7? 3 bilyones are living on food less than $2.50 a day. It's global poverty. Akala ba natin it's global prosperity? Probably those prosperous countries. Kahit sa Pilipinas, all we have to do is kahit di late, kahit sa Cubao na lang, we see how comprehensive is poverty. Yan kasama sa trabaho nyo riyan, even if you attend to simple duties as City Hall. Lalo na kung may pumupunta siguro sa SSS o pumupunta sa kanyang mga, siguro, no? Istorbo ka naman at saka may gagawin na ka, balik ka na lang bukas, no? Balik na lang yung bukas. Madaling sabihin niya, pero yung bukas na yun, ibang pamasahe. He may not have that pamasahe bukas. That's the point. Wala siyang pamasahe bukas. Yung pamasahe niya, narito na nagastos niya. That is a little extra for them. When you think globally, you realize what a very small thing I am doing, given the global problems. So what should be our vision? Bakit importante ang vision sa palagay natin? Well, parang ang vision, we are fixed on the far horizon. Ano kaya magandang vision sa Pilipinas? Ako ay proposed, if I run, nag-run ako na, siguro mananalo naman akong kagawad, no? I doubt it. Baka even my neighbors will not vote for me, no? But if I win, siguro magkaroon ng tayong motto, hindi motto, vision. What about land of the morning? That we are the child of the sun returning. Motto yan sa ating national anthem noon, no? Gusto yung linyang, child of the sun returning. Tayo yan eh. Ang Korea is the land of the morning sun. Yung mga ganon? Or the morning calm. As a vision. No? We are parang the kid coming back. The kid returning. This is the land of the morning. The child of the sun returning. Ganda. Imbis na, wow, Philippines. Alam mo sinasabi na wawawi. Anong wow Philippines? Anong wow? Anong only in the Philippines? Ano yun? Only in the Philippines. Only in the Philippines, people, elected officials do not distinguish between beef and pork. Yun ang maganda sabihin. So, or yung sinabi ni Rizal, ano? Alam mo sabi ni Rizal? Nuestro perdido Eden. Our lost paradise. Pero parang negative, ano? Kung ako mananalo against Kagawad, land of the, child of the, nuestro perdido Eden, the lost Eden is the recaptured Eden. No? Reacquired, nakuha uli. Something positive. But wala tayong ganong vision, no? Alam mo, ang vision nagbibigay ng pusok sa alab ng damdamin mo, no? Meron kang alab ng damdamin, nagkakaroon ng pusok, no? Nagkakaroon ng ningas. Yon, nagkakaroon ng ningas. Yung pusok